Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tax Resolution Help Center. My name is May. I will be hosting today's session and introducing today's speaker. I will also be coordinating the Q&A chat session at the end of this session. I want to congratulate you all for taking steps to deal with your taxes. Taxes from all sources, including income tax, payroll tax, property tax, excise tax, and sales tax, represent a 35% to 60% reduction in your personal savings and wealth. As you probably know, those with 1% of the wealth in this country have experts to help them pay a small percent of tax. Our goal is to help you reduce how much you pay in tax by educating and informing you on ways to reduce past, present, and future tax expenses. We think you are entitled to live a happier, healthier life by keeping more of what you earn and getting the taxman off your back. Our goal is to provide you valuable information in as short of time as we can, and then provide you the opportunity to ask questions that are important to you. So the presentation itself will last 30 minutes plus 25 minutes for you to ask questions in the chat feature located on the lower right. I will select the questions and present them to today's expert. If you could make sure your first name and state of your residence are in your question, that would be great. Other than that information, your identity is not mentioned, so please ask any question you wish. Since the guidance you are receiving in this session does not necessarily apply to your specific situation, you should feel free to contact today's expert or any of our tax experts at Tax Resolution Help Center. As you know, these group sessions are included in your do it yourself membership fee of $20 per month. And if you are not yet a member, please sign up today. Any one on one help you might require to address your specific tax situation is for an additional fee. That would be included in our Do It Together, DIT, or Do It All, DIA services. To better understand what might be on your mind during the session, I might include some polling questions to ask you. I will then finish with a 5-minute wrap up. Also, a survey will be sent looking for your feedback. And finally, this session will be recorded. For today's topic is dealing with IRS and state tax notices and letter. Our tax expert is John Shantz. John has the unique perspective of being both a business advisor and business owner. His wide ranging experience can help business owners and employees get through everyone's least favorite topic, tax compliance or the repercussions of non compliance. With that said, introducing John Shantz.
Thank you, May, and thank you for everybody who is attending. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on today's presentation. So again, today we're dealing with IRS letters, notice, interest, and penalties. Very exciting, talking about taxes this time of year. Quick little bit about me. As May said, my name is John Chance, and here is my phone number and email address if anybody would like to use to contact me after this presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Biggest thing I'll say about me is I'd rather be Steve. It's the love of my life, but we got to make money and do some work. So taxes is my other game. I spent my career started in public accounting for about 10 years, and I ran my own home building company for almost 30 years. Successfully invested from that business, and back in doing some accounting and tax works these days. So today's topics, again, we're going to talk about some notice and letter basics, talk about interest and how it is computed, penalties and how they're computed, and touch on a few other issues as well. We'll try to keep this presentation 15, 20 minutes tops and give you plenty of time to ask questions if you have them. So, some of you may be familiar with the old adage, if you happen to catch on fire, a terrible thing, it's stop, drop, and roll. When it comes to IRS notices and letters, I like to say stop, drop, and read. Drop everything and read the notice. Um, the other thing to think about is when you get a notice from the IRS, it's probably not an audit, unless it is. Most of the time, it's not. It's going to be a notice asking you about some missing documents or something on your tax return itself. So what happens when you get a notice or letter from the IRS? Um, Probably like most of us, you're going to get a little nervous, a little stressed, a little worried. It's okay. It's normal. You see that letter that says IRS, whatever state you're in, and you know it's the Department of Revenue. It's kind of a natural reaction to say, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And you may have never done anything wrong. You may not have done anything wrong on your return. Um, it's just the taxing authority may be looking for some additional information. So one way to kind of deal with that sometimes is just reframe that and say, okay, what am I going to learn? I know that's a little hard, but what am I going to learn? First couple steps here. If you have to notice, pull out a copy of your tax return, assuming this is regarding the business official tax return. And some key takeaways here when you get a notice. Keep the notice. Don't throw it away. Keep it put in a safe place so you can find it when you need it, either later that day or sometime in the future. Um, and I would say deal with it now. Any kind of notice, any kind of letter from the taxing authority probably is not going to get better with time. So deal with it. The sooner you deal with it, the sooner you can get rid of that stress and worry in your life. Um, the other thing is to take a look at your notice, see what type of notice is, and we'll talk about types of notices a little bit later on. But you will see what type of notice is on there. If it's from the IRS, you can go right to the IRS website and do a quick search on notices and letters and look up what your notice is asking for, give you some more details on how you can respond to that notice. Make note of the tax year, make note of the date of the notice, make note of the date to respond to that. You're going to want to make sure you respond by the date the IRS or the state asks you to respond by. Very important. Lots of times, if you don't know what to do and what's going to happen, get a hold of the IRS, get a hold of the state taxing authority, and request an extension. Hey, I'm going on vacation. Hey, I need to dig up some records. This might take me a little bit more time. Can I get a little bit more time? And invariably, they'll always give you more time. But you're going to want to actually ask for time if you need it. Take note of the tax due and what information is required. So then what happens? Once you've read the letter and understand what's being asked of you, hey, if you agree, it looks simple and you owe the tax, go ahead and pay the tax. Go ahead and pay the tax how they ask you to pay it. And then you may need to go online and add a payment, send it in with a copy of the notice, but the notice will tell you how to pay the tax. If you can't pay the tax, if you're unsure you can pay the tax due, the IRS in many states have ways to set up installment plans, depending on the situation, how much tax, how long you can, it'll take you to pay for it. You can set up an installment plan, and there's pretty much a self-help setup with the IRS where you can set these things up and you meet the parameters. You can find out right then and there. So, know what happens if you disagree with it. You look at it and say, I don't know this, this is wrong. You're going to want to take a look at the notice and follow the instructions and how you're being asked to respond to that notice. Sometimes you can mail stuff in, sometimes you have to call, sometimes you can fax it. But take a look at your options as how to respond to that notice and then gather up the information you need to prove your position. So if you disagree with the IRS calculation, you say, hey, I didn't have this income, or this is the number that's on my 1099 or W-2. You're going to put that together, and you're going to send it to the IRS and say, hey, this is the actual number. Uh, your information is incorrect. And if you are mailing a reply to your notice to the IRS or state, always mail it certified mail. You're going to want to have a record of how you respond to this notice and when you respond to this notice. That's going to be important in case you're being assessed interest and penalties. You're going to need to have the date that you responded by or sent a check in. The last couple of years, the IRS has been kind of messed up with delays and processing paperwork. Stuff is getting lost, and it might take them 6 months or a year to respond. Getting better now. Sometimes it can take a while, and they'll incorrectly assess more interest and penalties. So you're going to want to have a record when you actually responded. So let's talk about interest and penalties a little bit. IRS charges underpayment interest when you don't pay your tax, penalties, additions of tax, or interest by the due date of your return. Underpayment